Right now at 5:30, former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi announcing her decision to retire at the end of her term. It is a decision that will have an impact, a major one, on the political scene in our nation's capital. And joining us live right now is political analyst Marc Sandalow, who has closely followed Pelosi's career. So what do you make of her decision and the timing of today's announcement?
This was a long time coming. I was surprised when she lost the speakership for the first time back in after the 2010 elections. Typically that's when somebody would step down. There was no prospect Democrats were going to win back the House, but they did. And she stuck around again. Then in 2002, when she lost the speakership again, okay, assume that's it. But she's continued to represent the people of San Francisco. I think at age 85 and with 3 years out from her leadership position, I think she recognizes it's time for another generation to take the mantle.
And in terms of legacy, what do you think the former speaker will be remembered for the most when we look back years and decades down the line?
I mean, clearly the most memorable thing is that she was the first woman, as she puts it, to break the marble ceiling. And, she reached heights as a first woman speaker and among the most powerful speakers in American history that no other woman had reached before. But I think for San Franciscans, I think that what really made her stand out and what was behind her success is she had the heart of a liberal, just like her constituents, but the brain of a pragmatist. And that allowed her to represent a place as liberal as San Francisco, but to lead the Democrats in a much more pragmatic and at times moderate way so that they could get the majority. She had to get people elected, in North Carolina and Indiana, who wouldn't stand a prayer of winning an election in the Bay Area if she was going to build a tent big enough to give the Democrats a majority, which she did a number of times.
And as you know, this is an extremely contentious time on Capitol Hill with Democrats and Republicans battling pretty much over everything. What is the Democratic Party losing when Pelosi retires, and what's the path forward for a party that really has a dismal approval rating when it comes to the American public?
Yeah, she's been for a quarter century now the Democratic Party's chief congressional strategist. And, her great skill, which isn't obvious to everybody because they see her making speeches, is when that door closes and she's in that smoke-filled back room. It's not smoke-filled anymore because she banned smoking in the Capitol, but she was a strategist at heart. Her dad was mayor of Baltimore and a member of Congress from Baltimore. She grew up with the congressional record literally underneath her bed. She understands what it takes to win a majority, and they're going to lose that expertise. That said, remember she was probably, she was in her 60s by the time iPhones came along, and it takes a different kind of leadership probably to lead people into the future. I think she figures that her mentorship time is coming to an end, and she's handing it over to Hakeem Jeffries, who, if Democrats win, would be the next Speaker of the House.
And here locally, just some very big shoes to fill is either Scott Wiener or Chakrabarty or someone else. Are they up to that challenge?
It's going to be a fascinating battle because just like when she won in '87, San Franciscans are going to have a choice. Scott Wiener is much more he's very liberal, but he is the establishment candidate. He's been in politics. He plays inside the system. Whereas Chakrabarty, who you mentioned, he was Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC's campaign manager and chief of staff. He represents more of that sort of a flame-throwing voice, more like the guy who was just elected mayor of New York City. It's going to be a fascinating race.
Okay, Marc Sandalow, always great to get your thoughts live in Washington. Thanks for joining us.